Hey guys, today we're going to be working on a full warm-up mobilization pre-squats and deadlifts. So we're going to inchworm our way down to the mat, and then we're going to start with some hip openers. Big step out to the side like a Spider-Man stretch, step the foot outside the hands on the ground, and then you can bring in a full upper body rotation, which is known as the world's greatest stretch, as it hits pretty much everything to stretch out the body, mobilize the body. This video is going to be a lot faster than what a regular mobilization or warm-up will look like, but it'll give you an idea of all the big hitters to include into your mobilization and get the body warm before squats and deadlifts. So work both sides of the body, keep all of these for maybe, let's say, 90 seconds for each stretch mobilization, and do make sure that you give yourself particular attention to any areas that are tight or painful. So these groiners here, you're going to take that big step out and then drive your hips up to the ceiling so you get a good stretch down along your groin and hamstring. We'll move up into your hip flexors. So drop one knee to the ground, big step out in front, keep your chest up, shoulders back as you drive the body forward. Try not to leave your pelvis tip forward or leave the leg just right into the front of your hip, which will, of course, you'll feel it in your hip, but it's not the actual stretch we're looking for. So keeping the hips level, driving the body forward and feeling a good stretch running from almost outside your belly button down into your quads. That reach up over the head just adds an extra element into your core. Now the hinge is going to be a perfect warm-up for pre-deadlift. So keeping the body engaged, drive your hips backwards so you feel your hamstrings and glutes to lower the upper body down. As you come up, give a really strong squeeze of the glutes for extra glute activation, and this will be a very good warm-up for the posterior chain. Holding at the bottom for a little bit as well, just to start to feel the hammies and glutes doing their job. Glute bridges, very good activation exercise, especially when it comes to squats and deadlifts. You want to make sure that these guys are the prime movers. Shoulders and heels driven into the ground and pressing the hips as high as you can to get a full glute squeeze at the top. From that position, lie flat down and start to stretch out your low back and the external rotators of your hips, maybe your piriformis or your glute med. Pulling one knee up across the body and then across to the opposite side just to get the inside and outside of the hip. So knee into the chest, pull and pin the opposite shoulder to the ground so you get this really good rotation through your lumbar spine. Extending the leg out will just give that extra bit of a stretch for your hamstring. And again, a few of these each side, you'll really start to find where the tight or grotty areas are that can really be worked on. Next, we're going to pull the heels right into us and we're going to just fly the groins out to the side. You'll feel this on the adductors of the hips, which should be the inside of the groins. Now you're going to keep your back flat, keep your chest up and shoulders back as you just push down into the groin just to get that extra bit of a stretch. Obviously, pre-squats, it's good to get the body into the movement of squatting. So keep the weight in the heels, chest up, shoulders back as you drive your hips back and down behind your knees. And then allow yourself to sink deep into a squat and push against the knees to get that extra bit of a deep squat and hip external rotation. So again, I'm kind of moving through these pretty quickly, but do feel free to slow down, hold each of these for however long you feel that the body requires to make sure that you're really mobile before you go into a weighted squat or try to bring load on the body. Bringing the palms together and pushing the groins out is going to provide an extra stretch into the groin. And this internal rotation is a very challenging exercise to keep your chest up and back flat as you drop the knee internally, rotate the hip to the ground. Now, once you kind of get comfortable down in this position, it's going to be very easy to hit this position when you do have a bar or a goblet squat. And this position here, rotating up through the spine as you hold a sleep squat, can be pretty challenging. Always try and aim to keep your heels on the ground. And after you go for a couple of rotations, maybe move into a hold where you rotate up through your thoracic spine, keep your core muscles engaged, and deep squat. And again, swapping on either side here is going to be beneficial. Anything that kind of puts you down into that deep squat position, almost like the baby squat, is going to be very beneficial for later on when you do go for your heavy squats, or indeed if you are looking to open up the hips for a deadlift. So squatting and reaching here again is just going to activate those rotator cuffs, working the thoracic extension, which is going to be important when you do have a squat or a bar loaded squat. And again, just grabbing your toes here, driving your hips up to the ceiling gets a really good hamstring stretch. Another very challenging mobilization move is an overhead squat. So you have this full flexion up through your shoulders and arms, or extension up through your shoulders and arms, and then you're driving your hips back and down behind your knees, keeping your core muscles engaged to really work through that full rotation of the hips. If this is too hard to do with a bar, do feel grab a band, but go for that 360 rotation of the shoulder. Combine all of these mobilizations, warm up the body, should be very able to squat and deadlift pain free and maximize your effort.